Hi Stampers, it's Nancy from StampandShout.com. Welcome to my Tuesday YouTube Live. I'm here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so go ahead and subscribe and click that notification bell. That way whenever I go live you'll get alerted. And please go ahead and share my video. If you share my video, I'll go back and look to see who shared. Leave it in the comments that you shared, and I'll enter you in a little contest to get a little gift from me. That always is fun to do. So tonight I want to show you the cards that we're making. These were inspired by some hydrangeas in my yard, and then my girlfriend went ahead and posted some pictures of hers, and I said, oh, thanks for the inspiration. Now I know what I'm going to be working on, next week, which is the Hydrangea Haven stamp set. So I'll pull that out in a second. This one's really cute. This is a matchbook type card, matchbook fold, and inside it has a packet of flower seeds. So I thought that was fun for the summer. I mean, who wouldn't love getting this in the mail? Can you imagine? That'd be so exciting. I mean, anytime you get something in the mail, it's exciting. So let me show you the supplies that we're using. It's Hydrangea Haven Stamp Set. Now this is in the annual catalog. It's not a new stamp set, but it's summertime and it's a good stamp set to have. I even made a fall card though, speaking of seasons. And I think what I'm going to do this week is I am going to post pictures of other hydrangea cards that I made on my Facebook group. So I will put that link in the description below so you can go back and look at all the other cards that I did. Of course, you can always go to my blog, StampandShout.com, or my Pinterest page. And then these are the dies that coordinate with this. I didn't use a lot of the dies on tonight's projects. I did use one of the little tags, which you'll see in a little bit. And then I also used the time-worn type 3D embossing folder. I love this folder because it just adds a little extra wow to your card, but it's very subtle. So that's what I'm using. I put those off to the side. And let's go ahead and make this card first. So what I'm using is Tahitian tied cardstock, and it's 11 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 4 1/2. I just want to turn on my comments here. So if you're watching me live, go ahead and type in live and say hi. And if you're watching me on replay later on, you can always type in replay, and you can always leave comments and questions, and I will be sure to answer them. So that's our card base. And then for the front of the card, I have a piece of Whisper White that is 5 1/4 by 4, and then a piece of white that's 5 by 3 3/4, and then this one is embossed with the time-worn type 3D embossing folder. So I already did that for us. Inside I have excuse me, white 5 by 3 3/4 and a little tiny DSP strip that we'll put in there. Then I have a mat on the front, and this is in the Parakeet Party. And let's see, this is 4 3/8 by 2 5/8. I have a stamping piece, which we'll talk about. I have a scrap, and then I have a piece of the Designer Series paper, and this is 1 7/8 by 5. I kind of switched it up. This one I used dots, and tonight I'm going to use the stripes. So, and let me tell you what else. This is exciting. We're going to use the Stamparatus tonight. So I've got a few tips and tricks for you on how to use that. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and do the simple stuff. And we'll adhere our matte piece to the front of the card and that embossed piece. And I had a feeling my glue was going to be stubborn tonight. Well, let's see. All right, let me get it going here. So I have my old paper clip that I opened up, and I'm just going to give it a good poke, and I think that should be good enough. Okay, so let me go ahead and attach them. Yep, there we go. Go ahead and attach that. The Tahitian tied, isn't that beautiful? I love it. And we'll go ahead and attach the embossed piece. Right there. And then we'll bring in, this is our matte piece, and it's going to go right here next. Then we're going to put on our designer series paper, then we're going to put on our stamped piece. So I'm going to still build the card up a little bit here. I just wanted to show you the steps there. So I know that this is going to go right here. So this is about, this piece here isn't centered. It's about, about a 1/2 inch in, and then it's centered from top to bottom. So we'll go like that. Okay, now that's all I can do on the front until we do some stamping. So we're going to bring in the Stamparatus. And I'll show you what we're going to do here. So the Stamparatus, that's for helping you line up some of your images and to get a nice, good, solid image if you have a solid stamp. Sometimes when you stamp it with your hand, sometimes it doesn't come out nice and solid. Well, the Stamparatus will help you in that, so I'll show you that today. If you're a first-time stamper and you're watching me, you do not have to have a Stamparatus to start stamping cards. This is just an extra tool that helps make some projects easier, but it's not a necessity, but it is a nice tool to have. So this piece here that we're going to stamp on is, hang on a second, it's 4 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I'm going to place it right up here in the corner, but I'm going to trim it down when we're done, and I'm going to trim it down to 2 3/8 by 4 1/8. But I will have all that information on my blog. I'll have all the details and more pictures, so you don't have to worry about that. So what I'm doing, again, is I'm putting this in the top corner, and I'm taking my solid stamp, and I'm going to place it right where I want it to start stamping. So I'm centering it there on the card, and I've got it way to the edge. I'm going to put my little magnet to hold that piece of cardstock down, and I'm going to lay my board down. I need another magnet, so I'm going to do that over. I'll put a magnet right there. So again, I put my stamp where I wanted it on my cardstock. Then I close down the cover and lift it up, and now it's right there on my cover. So I'm going to bring in an extra stamp pad and just give my cover plate some support there. And I'm going to bring in my first color, which is Tahitian Tide. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up that pad, ink up that stamp. And I have my little chamois here. A little bit of ink got over here, so I'm just going to wipe that off. And now I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my image. Okay, now if I want, I can press up here again one more time, up at the top, get some more ink on that area, and we're good. If I wanted to, I could ink it up again and get it, really heavy and really solid, but I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to bring my chamois in, and I'm going to clean that stamp pad off. Then I'm going to take my cover plate and I'm going to move it down one little notch. And I'm going to bring in my next color, which is Parakeet Party. Oh, nope, my next color is Highland Heather. So we'll ink that up in Highland Heather. Whoops, I need to move my magnet because it's in the way of that stamp. Okay, give it a good press. Get that ink on that paper. Now see right here, this image is a little bit too white. So I'm going to push down and see if that works. And I'm happy with that because I'm going to stamp over this, and I don't need it to be a really heavy solid image, but I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to go ahead and move my magnet over there out of the way. I'm going to clean off the ink, and we're going to apply the next color. And the next color is Parakeet Party. So I have to move this down another notch, ink this up. And there we go, it's good. So our next color, I just wanted a little bit darker shade, so I picked Pear Pizzazz. And I'm going to show you some of the other images I stamped before I got this final card done, because I was playing with a lot of colors, and I'm going to show it all to you so you can see what I was going through. I move that down one more time. I'm going to go ahead and move. Whoop, don't want to do that. You don't want to get your magnets too close to each other. So now, oops, I'm going to ink this up in Pear Pizzazz. A little bit of ink over here. It's probably not going to hit any paper, but I still want to clean it off. Push a little bit more up here at the top. And there we go. That's the background for our little stamped image. So I can go ahead and put this back. I'm done with this stamp for now. So I can just go ahead and put that away. And now what I want to do is I want to stamp the flower image on my card. So I'm going to take this stamp, the nice big flower, and I'm just going to go ahead and lay it right on the cardstock where I want that to be. And go ahead and lay my magnet down here to hold it in place. And move it down just a little bit. So I'm just putting the stamped image right on the cardstock, right where I want it. Maybe I'll lift it up just a little bit, like that. Now I'm going to close this cover plate. Let's see if that's going to work. Just trying to get my magnets out of the way. Okay, so now I'm going to ink that up in the black ink, the tuxedo, what is it? The Memento black ink. That'll give us a nice little image on top of all those pretty colors for our hydrangea. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that cool? So, very simple to do, and I do like how it lines it up, because if you make a mistake or it doesn't give you a nice enough image, you just close your cover plate down and make it all better. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to get the Stamparatus out of the way till we make our next project, and I'm going to cut this down to, what did I say? I'm going to trim it to 2 3/8 by 4 1/8. So like I said, it's about 4 1/4 right now. I'm going to take a little bit off the top. I'll take about 1/8 of an inch off the top. And a little bit off the bottom. I think that's good. And then on the sides, we want it to be 2 3/8. And right now it's about 2 3/4. So I'm going to take off a lot of this white on one side. I'm going to turn it around and get it down to 2 3/8. So now I'm going to bring in this Parakeet Party mat. That's where this is going to go. It's going to fit right on here. But before that, I got to lay down my pretty designer series paper. So I don't know, do I like the stripes? Or I like the stripes for this. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this strip down. just like that. And then I'm going to lay this piece down. And this has a little bit of a border too. And then I'm going to bring in some little tiny black rhinestones. And I'm going to put a few here and there. I also want to stamp a sentiment for this, but I think I will actually put my rhinestones down first since I got them out. Oops, one stuck to my finger. And that's where I want those. Now I'm going to bring in the sentiment that I'm going to use, which is "You Make Me Smile." Just going to ink that up on a scrap. And then I'm just going to fussy cut this out. And then we're going to put it on the bottom of the card. So I'm just kind of jig-jagging a little bit here, giving it a little bit of a curve. Get this extra out of the way. Okay. Then I'm going to bring in some of my dimensionals and pop that up. So I think I'm going to use my little dimensionals on the ends here. Or I could have cut one of those big ones right in half. That would have been fine too. So we're going to put this on the bottom of the card. Like that. So now we're going to stamp the inside. This is going to be fun. You guys are going to like this. Alright, so I have a piece of designer series paper that I'm going to put right there at the bottom. And I'm going to bring in a couple of the little tiny stamps that are with this set. One is a flower, and the other one is a little leaf. And I'm going to use Tahitian Tide and Highland Heather and Parakeet Party. Whoops, Parakeet Party. So I'm going to take that flower stamp, and the Tahitian Tide is really going to be too dark. So I stamp off. And I just have this sitting down here to give me an idea of where it's going to go. And I started stamping all over the bottom with that Tahitian Tide color. Whoops. Stamp off. And I'm going to clean that off and do the same thing with the Highland Heather. The Highland Heather is lighter, so I'm not going to stamp off on that. And I just filled the whole bottom in here and there, and I overlapped because that's kind of what a hydrangea looks like. If you look at it, it's got a lot of colors in it. Again, this strip is going to go down here. So let's see, let's bring in the little leaf and fill this in here and there. It's real subtle, but you can tell when you do it, it's really pretty. So just adding some color here and there. Okay, so let me clean off these stamps because we're going to do that again on our next card. Let me put these ink pads away because we know what will happen if I leave them out. Drop them on something. Alright, so just going to put this strip. Actually, maybe I'll, since I did the stripes on the front, I didn't cut a striped one. I'm going to use the dots. I'm going to lay this right down here at the bottom. And I'm going to save my sentiment for later. I'm not sure what kind of card this will be for me, but of course, you know, it could be anything. Happy birthday, thinking of you, thank you. With the front with you make me smile. I love that sentiment. Such a nice thing to tell somebody. We'll lay that down like that. And there we go. First card is done. So I hope you like that. Go ahead and leave me your comments, and let's get on to the next card. So the seed holder, the little matchbook card. So supplies I have, a cardstock Tahitian tie that's 11 by 4 1/4. It's scored at 6 1/4 and 1 inch. And then for the front, I have a piece of white that is 4 1/4 by 4, and I ran that through the Time Worn Type 3D embossing folder. Then for the front, I have a matte piece that's about 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, and a stamping piece that's 3 by 3. Then for the inside is a piece of white that is 4 by 4. And for the strip on the bottom of the card, that's 3/4 by 4 inches. And again, I'm going to have all that information on my blog, stampandshout.com. So you can go there probably later on tonight or tomorrow, and you can see more pictures, and you'll get the details, the supplies I used, all that good stuff. Okie doke. So, bone folder. So the first thing is we're going to fold up on that 1 inch. And then fold down on the other fold. That was 6 1/4 when I scored it. And we can go ahead and add this piece right now. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to show you another little trick on how to use that stamparatus. This goes up at the top, just like that. And then we will do some stamping. So let me bring that stamparatus back in. We're done with this big flower stamp. So I'll just put that off to the side. And I'm going to bring in this little template. So this template is going to help me put the stamps right in the corners, right where I want them. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you one other thing on how to make a nice circle using this template and the stamparatus. And if you didn't notice, I just want to make mention, got my magnet sticking here, that if you place a minimum order of $30 between now and Saturday, I will send out the make and takes for these 2 cards, plus I'll send you this stamparatus template so you can have that. But you're going to think this is really fun and cool. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this 3 by 3 piece down there, and I'm going to bring in my stamp that I'm going to use, and it's the little tiny flower stamp, and the stamping image is face down, and I'm going to put that right up here in the corner. That's where I want it to stamp. I got my magnet on here, and then once I have it where I want it, going to go ahead and close that cover plate up. I'm going to bring in a stamp pad just to give me some support while I'm stamping. And I'm going to ink this up in the Memento black ink. And stamp that. Okay, now I'm going to turn it and put the next corner up in this template. And we're going to ink this up. I got a little heavy here with this black. I just don't want it to go all over my paper. There we go. I'll stamp that one more time up here. And I'll turn it again. Okay, now next what I want to do is I want to bring in the sentiment that I want, which is to an incredible woman, and I'm facing it this way because that's the way I want it to go. And I can close it like this and use this cover plate, or if you had a bunch of stamping going on, you can also turn this around like this and use this cover plate again. But since I'm not using this cover plate right now, I'm just going to go ahead and pick that stamp up and then ink this up. Clean this plate off a little bit. And there we go. Perfectly stamped, nice and even all the way around. Didn't have to guess, didn't have to worry. And that's using the Stamparatus with that little template. And again, I'll show you something really cute. I'll give you a sneak peek of what else we can do with that Stamparatus. So let me clean off the stamp, just in case I want to go back and do something. I want to make sure it's cleaned off. I guess I'm taking these off. And we'll get this out of the way for now until we do that little surprise flower scene. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a scrap. And this stamp set comes with a solid stamp which will fill in the colors that you'd like. You can do a nice big, kind of a big stamp, or you can use the little ones like we did earlier. I'm going to bring in Tahitian Tide again. And I'm going to bring in a scrap. And I'm going to stamp off with that Tahitian Tide because I don't want it that dark. And this does kind of line up with this stamp in a way, but it's not perfect, so you don't have to worry about that. Stamp off. Okay, now I'm going to bring that little flower stamp that we used earlier, and I'm going to put in some Highland Heather flowers, and then we'll add some more leaves. I think I might use a little bit of the Gorgeous Grape in here too. So I'm just going right over that Tahitian Tide color and filling in this flower. These two colors go really well together. Let's see, let's do the Parakeet Party, some leaves. I'm going to go right over that dark spot. So I'm just adding a little bit of green here and there. And as long as you don't get worried, you just keep on going. It really is pretty when you're all done. I like it. Let me show you up close. Pretty, isn't it? Oh, wait to get it all together. It's so pretty. Clean the stamp pad off real quick with my little chamois. I love the chamois. Okie doke, let's see here. So now we can we'll glue this to our mat piece. Then bring this piece in. So this is going to go here. It's going to be popped up on dimensionals. I love making these little seed cards, little packets that you can give away in the summertime. Or spring would be nice too, obviously, but a lot of fall planting coming up, so. Okay, so now what I want to do is this little piece right here is I'm just going to bring in my little stapler, and I'm going to staple it right in the middle to hold it closed, and I'm going to go up about a 1/4 inch, just like that. Then we're going to cover that up with this piece of Designer Series paper. I'm going to go ahead and bring this, well, I was going to bring it down, but I can line it up without looking. So just putting it right in the center there. And then this closes, just slips right behind that little tab. And that's how that stays closed. Then for the inside, I'm going to bring in my little seeds. And I went ahead and I cut out of white earlier with the little tag that comes with this set. And I'm going to stamp for you. Just, there it is. Okay, found my stamp. And I'm going to cover this up like that, that little price tag sign. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Okay, stamped for you. Then I brought in my cute little flower stamp again, because that just looked too plain, so I thought, well, let's do some flowers on here. So I just did the same thing as we did on the other cards. Did a couple of Highland Heather flowers and a couple of the Tahitian Tide I stamped off. Whoops. Okay. Then I took a dimensional and I popped it up on a dimensional, and then I thought, well, that's a tag. What am I going to do there? And I didn't want to tie a teeny tiny bow, so I just went into my little rhinestones and I put a rhinestone right at the top, like that. So now when you open this, this is just going to sit. Whoop! My little rhinestone fell off. Must not be that sticky, huh? On the inside, we need to put this 4x4 piece of white. You don't really have to, but you're probably going to want to write something on it. When they take that seed packet out, you can see a cute little note from you. So we'll put a little place to write. If you wanted, you could put a sentiment. Then this goes in like that. And then it just closes up, it just tucks right there. And there you go. There's your second project. If you wanted, you could put a little bit of snail behind that seed packet to hold it in place, but it's fine, and this fits in a standard envelope. So there are your projects, but I do want to show you really quick the Stamparatus and how I did that little that wreath. So I'm going to show you really quick. So again, stampandshout.com for any more information that you might want. That was supposed to be on Do Not Disturb, so I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, so someplace I have a piece of someplace I have a piece of paper that's 4x4. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I took a piece of 4x4 cardstock and I put it on my template there. Whoops, those little magnets are strong, aren't they? Just like that. And then I brought in the little stamp from the set. But what I did was I took a 3x3, and that's actually where I want this stamp to go. Let me just look at something. Do I want it this way or that way? I want it this way, opposite. So I kind of looked where I want that to go, which is about right there. Hang on, I hear something. I think my other phone rang. So then I just inked this up like that, turned it again. Oops, my fingers are going to be very inky tonight. Inked it up like that, turned it again. I'm doing this really quick because I know it's getting late. Okay, so that's the first round. Then you take your cardstock and move it on the other template so it's square. And then go, whoops, go around one more time, and you're going to have a nice circle for your wreath. Oop, gotta go square. Turn it one more time. And that's how I use that template to make the wreath. And let me show you the other wreath. And then I went ahead and filled it in again with the solid flower stamps. And obviously you could use whatever colors you wanted. I used Highland Heather and the Tahitian Tide and a little bit of Gorgeous Grape, and I made that wreath. So I thought that was fun to show you. I think that's so cute. What a great idea, right? So again, You can get more information off my blog, stampandshout.com. I'll have all the details and the shopping links, and I think that's more pictures. I'll have all that. So I hope you liked today's projects. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing. So this is another card that I made. Different colors, same thing. But my process, so that was the first one I made, and I embossed it in white. And I thought, oh, it's very pretty, but I don't see it that well. So here's another one that I did, and I embossed it in white. This was going to be for this card. This one was embossed in black, and I just thought that was too dark. And then this one was embossed in white, and I thought I had one that was embossed. Oh, here's one that I embossed in silver. Whoop, yeah, silver. So all of that led me to this pretty little ditty. So again, I hope you liked tonight's projects. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. Remember, visit my blog, and don't be shy. Stamp and shout. See you